This video is about understanding, hurt, and hope. It may be lighthearted at times, but it's for the sake of helping us all understand better. Today we're going to the border that separates two nations still at war after more than 70 years. The demilitarized zone that cuts through the Korean peninsula. To the north, the black hole, and to the south, a buzzing, vibrant country with its capital city here in Seoul.
And our second highlight is Dorasan Observatory, where we can see real North Korean people and the scenery of the North Korea. They're not actors, they're real people. They're driving the car, riding the bicycle, walking on the road, farming outside.
We just arrived at the Imjingak Park, and it sets just alongside of the Imjing River. Off in the distance there, well, that's North Korea. We're here walking in South Korea. This park was created in 1972 as a place for the families who were separated to come and remember their relatives and their families on the north side. And that division was first created along the 38th parallel. The Korean War raged in the early 1950s. Fighting didn't stop until July 27th, 1953. The two countries, the South and the North, are still at war. Kim Jong-un in the North still builds nuclear weapons, and the United Nations continues to issue sanctions. Up on this deck, it's a place to sit down, relax, and reflect, and you start to see the land that begins to divide the South from the North. Over that way, we can see a train bridge, and that's a reunification train bridge that they hope to one day connect and complete between the North and the South. This is the Freedom Bridge right behind me here. It was built in a hurry towards the end of the Korean War. It was a bridge to let the soldiers who had been captured on the North or captured in the South return on the other side. There were 13,000 prisoners who crossed this bridge. Because it was built in a hurry, it's a wooden bridge. The government wanted a concrete bridge, but there wasn't enough time, so they built it in a hurry. And here you can see it crosses the river into the land that's now the DMZ, which would have been North Korea back in the day. Around 3 million people died during the war. Because of this division, the 38th parallel and the split between the two countries, after the countries came to the armistice, well, it divided an estimated 10 million families. This park and the whole construction area, you hear it going on over there, it's a dedication to those families that have been separated forever. Another look at the Freedom Bridge from down here, and over this way we see some of the first wired fences where we'll be crossing from here into the DMZ, into the demilitarized zone that stretches on up towards the north. Up over this way, I can't film over there because that's the entry point, and there are heavily armed military men there that are guarding the checkpoint. When we go through with our bus, I won't be able to film, but two soldiers from the South Korean military are going to come on our bus, check our passports. We'll go inside the DMZ, and then when we leave, they'll get back on the bus, check our passports again to make sure that everybody that went in is coming out. Now, unfortunately on this tour, we can't go see the JSA, the Joint Security Area, where we've had meetings in the past where Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un met about in 2019. That's been closed recently because the American soldier who, during a tour guide visit there, jolted and went up to North Korea and caused a big controversy, so you can no longer enter into that area for now. What I will have to say about this tour is that we're allowed a lot of a freedom to walk around. They take us to some certain points. Our guide has been explaining certain key things. She's from South Korea and adds a great personal touch to this tour, but also after she's done with that, she lets us off on our own so we can explore and see some of these other sites and have time to take photos and videos.
这些新冠肺炎扩散时候，大部分没进去，记得了没？没有美军的。还有山顶红色的屋顶也是那个美国的军队 Camp Clippers。
Nowadays, 18 months for the army, 20 months for the navy, 21 months for the air force. But in the North Korea, 7 years for the women.
We're up at the Dorasan Observatory, and there are telescopes, binoculars all set up here so we can see off in the distance North Korea. We're looking at the demilitarized zone right here. The ground down there is fertile. In fact, there are little villages both on the north and south side. Here in the south, they grow soybean, ginseng, and also rice. You see the border line, it stretches around, runs that way over there. Off over that way you see this massive flagpole with the South Korean flag on top of it. Further on, we can't see too much today because it's hazy, it's cloudy, but there's the North Korean flagpole. They had a race to see who could get the highest flagpole. It went back and forth for years. Finally, South Korea said, okay, North Korea, you got this. So North Korea has the highest flagpole out of the two. Through the most fortified border in the entire world. Off in the distance, the most enclosed, isolated country in the entire world, the Hermit Kingdom, North Korea, controlled by Kim Jong-un. You see the little towns off that way. Through the binoculars, we could see the people going about their daily lives. This is a strange and eerie look onto North Korea, a country I've always wanted to visit. Unfortunately, right now, Americans cannot visit North Korea, but someday I hope to add it to my list. My only regret, well, hold on before I get to my regrets. If you're enjoying this video, the trip here to the demilitarized zone and the view of North Korea, please hit the like button down below. Give this video a thumbs up. Also, I know many of you aren't yet subscribed, so please subscribe down below. Join the channel. Follow along with all the videos. My regret, well, I just wish they had better binoculars up here so we could get a better view of North Korea. Granted, it is a hazy, cloudy day, but those binoculars, they're not situated well to the eyes. And I think today with technology, we can get even a better view into North Korea if they've mounted some better binoculars. I was able to put my telephone both in video mode and camera mode up to the binoculars and got some shots that I'll put as B-roll on top of this video. Frankly, I think the best way would be to make a secretive trip over to the north and to North Korea one day to get a proper view of the capital city and get a guided tour around the country. Even if it is all propaganda, it is worth seeing, I think. Any of you have out there ever gone? Drop some comments down below, let me know.
Second one we found in 1975, Cheolwon, Gangwon province. And this one we found in 1978. The third one we found in 1990s.
We're here at the third tunnel entry. Now this tunnel runs for about 1,600 meters underground. Around 200 of those meters are on the South Korean side and the other 1,200 meters or so are on the North Korean side. It was found in 1978 due to a North Korean defector who explained to the South Korean government that this tunnel existed. A total of 4 tunnels have been identified over the years. The last one I think was around 1990 or so, and they believe there's around probably 10, 15 or 20 tunnels in total that run from the north to the south, trying to connect to the south. Now when they discovered the tunnel, the North Koreans escaped. The miners who were digging the tunnel, they escaped to the other side. Unfortunately, I can't bring you with me down below because we can't take our cameras or our cell phones or anything. We must don hard hats when we're gonna go down in there, and it should be kind of a hike. They've now put up barrier blockades inside the tunnel that separate us, but we're only 170 meters from the north side when we get down there. When I come back up, I'll explain what I saw. Well, that was an experience, and the hard hat was well worth it. I think I hit my head. How many times did you hit your head?
I don't know how many times
I had like 10 or 15 times.
It's a lot more than that actually.
Because the entire time you have to be hunched back like this, and then your body kind of wants to relax and stand up. Boom, boom. I think I had about 15 times. It was a good workout going down and back up, and coming back up I quite enjoyed it. Gave my lungs a workout, much needed. Down there, it's the closest I'm gonna get for now to North Korea, 150 meters. There are 3 walls down there, and they put a window through the first one and through the second one so you can see in there and see that final third wall. And who knows what's on the other side of that third wall. It could be North Koreans right over there planning some other sort of secret mission. I don't think it was that great of an experience, but it does get you as close as you can possibly get to North Korea, albeit underground. Now, why is this tunnel so important, or the other tunnels? Well, because we're only 53 kilometers from Seoul, and they believe in this tunnel here that around 30,000 soldiers could pass through that tunnel in 1 hour, every hour. If North Korea was ever planning an invasion, those tunnels there would play an integral part. Down there, it was cool and crisp, which I enjoyed as well as the workout. Also, once you get down that long ramp, about 300 meters long or so, you had about 200 meters then on the flat lands where it was really narrow. Before you started that flat bit, there was a little drinking fountain there with some fresh spring water coming from underneath the DMZ, and I quite enjoyed that. Had a sip and continued my journey. We all need to learn about the suffering of our friends up to the north, which has become worse since the COVID pandemic. During that time, the North Korean military had a whole bunch of landmines laid out on the border to the north with China, because on that border, over the river when it was shallow, a lot of North Koreans would defect via China and then make their way to Bangkok or other countries in Southeastern Asia, where they would take in the North Koreans and then send them to South Korea. Over the years, I've been very fascinated by North Korea and other ways you can learn more. Read books. I've read about 4 or 5 different books on North Korea, and I want to share those books with you. Without You, There Is No Us, and that's a great book with stories of a volunteer teacher working with government's elite children. Another book, Nothing to Envy, Ordinary Lives in North Korea by Barbara Demick. And a third book you should put on your list, well, that's Every Falling Star by Sunju Lee, who survived and escaped North Korea. Then, as always, you can learn a lot by watching YouTube, and there's a great YouTuber who has plenty of stories to share with you. If you look her up, her name's Imjingak Park, and she's a North Korean defector who now lives in the United States.
然后里面最后纪念商店唯一的特产品商店DMZ 纪念品书没有。有的人运动看看这边的美。
There you can see back here where they're processing, I think it's rice. It could be the soybean or the ginseng that they produce here. And this is one of the few villages within the DMZ. And people still live here. People live within the DMZ, and they're given special tax credits, and they don't have to do the obliged military service that all Koreans have to do otherwise. This tour, if you're interested, I have no association with the tour, but how I found it was via a website called KK Day, and they have all sorts of other tours in Korea and outside of Korea as well. So when you land in Seoul, go on the website KK Day and book your trip. There are many different companies. You could go with the one I chose, and I'll drop the link down in the description if you're interested in that one. The tour guide, her name was Spring. She did a great job. Her English was perfect. We were with a group as well of Mandarin Chinese speakers, so we had 2 tour leaders on the bus today. I would recommend, if you have a short visit to Korea, to Seoul, book in advance before you travel to Seoul. If you're gonna be here for a couple weeks in Seoul, well, you have time, and that's what I did. Once I was on the ground, I booked my tickets and planned my day. Now, this was one of the shorter excursions. We left at 8 a.m. from Seoul, and we should be back in there around 2:30 p.m. If you want more information like this, I'm putting out a regular email newsletter with all sorts of travel information and hacks. There's a link to sign up down below. Now watch this video next on what to see and do in Seoul.